Thanks, everybody. My name is Mike Smith, and welcome to my first installment of History in Flames. In this video, we're going to talk about John Sallant's A Further Liberty in 1776 from his remarkable work, Black Puritan, Black Republican, The Life and Thought of Lemuel Haynes, 1753 to 1833. This survey digs into how Haynes, a free black man and a Revolutionary War veteran, took inspiration from the American Revolution and expanded its premise of liberty to include his fellow African Americans. Now, as a disclaimer, I'm going to use terms such as African American and black interchangeably throughout our talk, since we will be comparing individuals and events in the past as they relate to our present. Now, Mr. Haynes was a revolutionary among revolutionaries. Born in 1753 to a black father and a white mother in Connecticut, he became one of the first African American ministers to serve a predominant white congregation. His intellectual contribution to the early American Republic makes him especially intriguing. In A Further Liberty, Saillant describes how Pastor Haynes applied his revolutionary rhetoric of liberty and freedom not only to include political independence from Britain, but also to the struggle for the black equality in a slaveholding society of the colonies. Haynes believed that the principles of the Revolution, especially those of the Declaration of Independence, should extend to all people regardless of race. He critiqued the hypocrisy of a nation fighting for freedom while enslaving its own African Americans. What a concept, right? Saillant showed how Haynes' writings and sermons advocated for further liberty, one that recognizes the fundamental dignity and rights of all individuals. Now, here are some assumptions I've made and the connections I made to a broader academic discussion. First, the American Revolution could have universal implications on human freedoms. Haynes saw the Revolution as a movement that could promote universal liberty, as we mentioned before, and this connects to a larger scholarly debate about the extent of which the Revolution was a radical or conservative event. Scholars like Gary Nash in the Forgotten Fifth argue that revolution's principles had potential to be radical, especially concerning race, although he states the potential was largely unfulfilled. For my second assumption, Christian theology could be a foundation for black political thought. Saillant emphasizes how Haynes' Puritan background shaped his political thinking. The idea that Christian theology provided a framework for black resistance and political ideology is also found in Cornel West's Prophecy Deliverance, where West discusses how religious thought is often inspired African American calls for justice and equality. Next, black intellectuals of the late 18th century agreed with the Enlightenment ideals, particularly those of reason and especially equality. Now, Haynes' ideas changed the assumptions of the Enlightenment ideals being reserved only for white thinkers. Frey and Wood's Come Shouting to Zion refers to Haynes' idea in describing how black people in the Atlantic world of that time also adopted Enlightenment ideals, mainly through their own religious movements. The fight for liberty in 1776 created a division between the American ideals and the American realities. This week's reading of Haynes emphasizes the conflict between the continued tradition of slavery in the New World and the American Declaration's promise of equality. Aligning with Morgan's American Slavery, American Freedom, this assumption describes the existence of both slavery and liberty at the same time as being one of the founding contradictions of the United States. In conclusion, John Saillant portrays Lemuel Haynes in A Further Liberty in 1776 as an early thinker who struggled with contradictions of the American Revolution. Haynes used the ideas of liberty to call for a broader, more inclusive interpretation of freedom that remains as important today as it was in his own time. His vision of a more just and equal society reminds us that the ideals of 1776 are still a work in progress, and our responsibilities as a society are far from over. I'm Mike Smith. This has been History in Flames. Thanks for watching.